You're listening to the Black Eagles podcast with Sinan Schwarting and Kaan Bayazit.
Ahmet Dursun Sergen aldı. Sergen Bülent yan yana. Sergen Bülent. Sergen. Orada Tümer var. Tümer'e doğru atıyor. Kaybetti. Tümer topu aldı. Sergen aldı. Gol! Gol! Gol! Sergen attı. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi.
İbrahim'in pası. Yuma. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Welcome back, everybody. Episode 43 of the Black Eagles podcast. I am your host, Sinan Schwarting, coming at you live from New York City with your favorite co-host and mine, Kaan Bayazit. Everyone, give a round of applause. Good day today, Kaan, eh?
Yeah, and we're doing this in a little bit of a tight window because my son needs to go to bed soon, and I'm visiting my mother, and we have about an hour or something to get this out. So Sinan asks me, so, shall I just solo this? And I'm like, you MFer, you really think after all those weeks of a headache, I'm gonna skip this one?
Finally, we have a good one. That's true. I hadn't considered that. In fact, actually, after I asked it, I was like, you wouldn't want to miss this one, really, because we finally get to like a normal episode. We can talk about highlights and lowlights.
And it's a sweet victory today, especially because of their fan base, just the way they behave and act during the game.
Yeah, and they're trying to I feel like they're trying to concoct a rivalry that doesn't exist. They haven't earned a rivalry with us, but they're trying, this whole Bursa alliance they have, I don't like it. Online we've had some some back and forth with some people whose footballing egos are getting a little big for their britches, if you will.
Well, that's what usually happens when things roll into match day, and this was a big game for them, for their fan base. They really wanted to get a result here, and I think we, as fans, Beşiktaş fans, headed into this game probably with a small heart. Expecting yet another disappointment, but for the first time perhaps this season, I think the team really played a solid game and delivered, and ironically, or perhaps due to the fact that we were missing a bunch of players due to injuries, and some youthly enthusiasm was kind of forced on Şenol Güneş because he had to start several different players today. Most importantly, Güven Yalçın and Dorukhan Tokuz, who we'll get to a little bit later, played a key role in this victory today. I don't know. I think that Adam Laiç stepped up for the first time. Really.
Before we even get into it, let me just also remind you / the audience that even up till the whistle was blown, there were factors that were forcing Şenol Güneş to be a little bit progressive, right? Because Medel was lined up to play and then got injured pre-match. And Dorukhan, to be fair, was in the lineup. But now you've actually planted the seeds of doubt in my head as to whether or not he would have placed him.
What I do.
Yeah, indeed. As to whether or not he would have placed him in that central pivotal role, which he excelled in today, but I don't want to steal your thunder. Go ahead, Kaan. Tell us about the match.
Well, before we start running down the game here, let's point out first that this match was played in Kayseri at the Kadir Has Stadium instead of the Osmanlı Stadium, where Ankaragücü have been playing their home games this season. This decision was made by the Turkish Football Federation only yesterday, and initially they had rescheduled the game to be played in Afyon, but they ended up moving it to Kayseri, I think, due to the amount of tickets that had already been sold for this game. Ankaragücü had already sold more than 15,000 tickets for this match.
Geographically, how close are Kayseri and Ankara? I ask honestly, out of curiosity.
Well, you have to look at it a little bit from Turkey is a very big country, so you as an American can probably relate. So for me, it's a huge distance because I live in a small country where 100 kilometers is a lot. But in Turkish, I think from the center of Ankara to the center of Kayseri is I don't know, 350 maybe. I'll quickly look it up if you want, but
No, I think that just a round, a guesstimation is fine. But so what's that? Maybe like a 2-hour drive?
Yeah, I'd imagine so. You know what? I would like to look that up quickly, but
No, okay, here, hold on. All right, one second.
And anyway, maybe you can look it up in the meantime, and I'll go down the match highlights
do it.
for the people listening. Multitasking.
There we go.
So the match played at the Kazarhas Stadium tonight in Kayseri. Match kicked off at, I believe, 7 o'clock local time. The game started pretty well for the hosts, really. I think Ankaragücü got out of the gate best. They were hungry, you could see it. They were pushing us back a little bit, in control, but in control of the ball for a large part, kind of pushing us best in the opening couple of minutes. But Beşiktaş did very well to get back into the game, re-establish control a little bit, and they were dangerous, as you could see. Let me just take a look here, because I'm trying to think of the major happenings in the game.
Let me quickly interject that it's actually almost a 4-hour drive from Kayseri to Ankara.
That's not that much in Turkey though, but that kind of, I think 350, 400 kilometers. That's probably that kind of lines up with what I was thinking. So
you were just about right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So how many kilometers did it end up being?
Oh no! I just closed it.
Never mind.
We'll
anyway,
leave it.
But Ankara were really the ones that got best out of the gate. But one of the things I liked early on was Beşiktaş won a free kick. Güven Yalçın was brought down near their penalty area. And remember last week we were talking about a free kick where a situation arose where Laiç was kind of frustrated that he wasn't allowed to take it, basically. And Laiç was allowed to take a free kick here. I think this was around the 15 or 18 minute mark or something like that. I think it was slightly before our first goal. I don't have the timestamp here. But Laiç from, I think, 26, 27 meters out or something like that, with a really good free kick, but he hit the bar. But that definitely, I think that sent a message to both Caner and Quaresma, like, let this guy take the free kicks. Come on, man. He's a specialist. Let him take the direct free kicks.
Yeah.
But a few minutes later, I think around the 20-minute mark, again, I don't have the timestamp here for it, unfortunately, but Beşiktaş actually scored a goal.
That was the 23rd minute, by the way.
No, that was our actual goal.
Oh, the first one. Yeah, the Vida goal.
I'm talking about the one that got disallowed.
Yeah.
So we had a free kick with Ricardo Quaresma, really well taken free kick from Quaresma, as we're kind of used to him taking those indirect free kicks quite well. Domagoj Vida meeting it with his head, scoring, Beşiktaş celebrate the goal. It took ages. There was a VAR check, and the referee initially gave the goal, but after deliberation in the VAR room for, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes or something, Ryan Babel had a really funny tweet, but I'll get back to that in a little bit. So after a good time of deliberation, the VAR room basically told the ref disallow it. So the ref didn't even go and look. He just followed the decision from the VAR room, and they disallowed it. Now, they ruled this was an offside because one of our players basically got pushed down or something. He went down. I'm not sure what happened there.
He was pushed.
But he went down basically. So he was in an offside position, but he wasn't taking part in play. Vida wasn't offside.
Yeah, he wasn't even the
scored.
Target. God, that's annoying.
Yeah, and the goal got disallowed. But basically, what my problem there then is, okay, you're going to disallow it for offside. But shouldn't the referee then check whether the push on the guy was a foul and therefore a penalty, if you're going to look at that? And so, to me, that was a completely unacceptable decision. This should have never been an offside because he got pushed and he's laying there. He's not actively participating in the game. Anyway, goal disallowed, and their fans celebrating it as as Chinese New Year, as if they had scored a goal themselves, and which I thought was
classless.
I thought it was karma.
Yeah.
Because 23 minutes, 3 minutes later, something Leitch just shuts them up with a rocket.
Boom, yeah. Another rocket. This one not hitting the post.
Yeah. Gives it to Pektemek on the edge of the box. Pektemek gives it back just outside the area. Leitch just looks at the goalkeeper, looks down, places his shot perfectly up in the upper left corner, just like a rocket. And 1-0. This one couldn't get disallowed. No offside there. And Ryan Babel tweeted, "Oh, what? They're not going to check for 30 minutes to see if this is offside or something like that." Yeah. I do think he deleted that tweet though, because I think he's probably aware that he'll probably get the
sensitive
something for that.
Sensitive fans.
But the funny thing is as well, the match had already been stopped early on, which I forgot to talk about. Like after only 5 minutes or something, they were already throwing crap at Karius, who's playing again today, which is a positive. Yeah. But so basically, their fans were trying to create a Bursa-like atmosphere already. Just constantly trying to stop the game with throwing shit on the pitch, but it didn't work because we started scoring goals. 23rd minute, Beşiktaş scored the 1-0, and only a couple of minutes later it was 2-0. So that kind of took the wind out of their sails. Mustafa Pektemek this time was the goal scorer. A very good assist from Dorukhan Tokus on the right side. He came through. Ricardo Quaresma sent him through as he overlapped. He wasn't playing as a right back, but he came into that position and really squared it nicely towards the far post. Mustafa Pektemek with a simple tap-in. And that really kind of took the wind out of the fan sails, I think, because at 1-0 they could still kind of, have an impact on the match perhaps, because, their team only needs one chance at that point. But once it's 2-0 and a few minutes later 3-0, there's really nothing they can do anymore. They can't impact the game anymore by getting it to stop constantly, which was, you could see that was their plan going into the match. If their team were going to struggle at some point, they were going to make sure the match got stopped.
And there were a few more disruptions along the sidelines. They were throwing stuff. I guess later in the match, it was more out of desperation, I suppose, huh?
Yeah. In the 40th minute, unfortunately, Gökhan Gönül had to be subbed off. He had initially not been scheduled to start this match, but as you alluded to earlier already, Gary Medel picked up an injury in pre-match warming up, and then Gökhan had to start. So Fatih Aksoy took his place, which saw Necip, I think, move to right back. And then in the 44th minute, Güven Yalçın got his second goal of the season. It was a very nice through ball by Adem Laiç to set up this goal, but the finish was equally as good. He whipped it over the goalkeeper, Korçan Çelikay, who's a Beşiktaş youth product, mind you. And that's the halftime scoreline. Beşiktaş leading in Kayseri 3-0. Then Ankara made a substitution at halftime. Kenan, another one of our ex-youth players, got taken off for Serci, and he ended up playing a little bit of a role later on in the game. The first yellow card of the game came only in the 52nd minute. That was for Necip. Then a couple of minutes later, Ricardo Fati got booked as well in the 57th minute. Some substitutions, nothing really worth mentioning. Güven got taken off for Larin. Laiç got taken off for Oğuzhan, which is in the 79th minute, which is worth mentioning because Oğuzhan would end up getting on the score sheet a couple of minutes later. Mustafa El-Kabir scored in the 86th minute for Ankaragücü, but they had actually scored a goal a little bit before. Actually, I think in the 61st minute they had scored a goal, or something around the 61st minute. Bifuma had been sent through on goal, and he actually managed to beat Karius, and the ball ended up in the back of the net, but again a VAR check there. And the goal was disallowed because during the build-up there was a foul on Güven Yalçın, which got called then. Beşiktaş got the free kick for that. So no goal for Ankaragücü there, but they did get their goal in the 86th minute. Serci with a really nice through ball to El Kabir, and a very cool finish from El Kabir, one-on-one with Loris Karius. And we know that that's not the easiest thing to do, to beat him one-on-one, because he had I think two really good one-on-one saves today as well. But the party didn't last long. While Ankaragücü fans were still cussing Beşiktaş out, Oğuzhan Özyakup completely shut their mouths by making it 1-4 in the 88th minute. And I relish in that. The opposition fans are basically cursing you, your mothers, and then you shut them up. And that's
throughout the match.
Great game in that regard. It's just a great game because of the fan factor and just
and not
karma.
To be too much of a smarty pants about it, but also a great game insofar as a lot of what we've basically been calling for the entire season was forced upon Şenol Güneş, and lo and behold, we just came out of our best performance of the season as a whole. So I don't know, not to toot our podcast's horn, but it's pretty impressive how everything we've been calling for came into place, and suddenly, I don't know, we're playing all right. Now, quickly, let me do my stat flash. And I'm looking forward to this.
For the records, maybe we should mention the score line was Ankaragücü 1, Beşiktaş 4. Usually I do that, but I forgot to do it there. Get to the stats now.
I'm actually I'm going to enjoy these stats because I think I'm curious to see what you think.
Interesting, yeah.
So shots were equal, 15 to 15.
Yeah.
Of course, Beşiktaş had 6 on target versus their 4. So 4 out of 6 ain't bad, although 4 out of 15 ain't good. Possession 52% in Beşiktaş's favor to their 48. Passes 394 to their 362. Pass accuracy 76% for Beşiktaş to their 75%. They committed 18 fouls to our 15, 2 yellow cards each. Offsides only 1 each. Of course, our 1 was corners 5-4 in Beşiktaş's advantage. But so the stats would suggest that this was a very close match, very equal. But the scoreline certainly doesn't suggest that. And I think if you watched the match, you wouldn't have come away with that impression. So what's going on there, Kaan? How do you account for those weird statistics?
It's interesting statistics, but it was never really a match because of the quick succession goals by Beşiktaş. I didn't think that some people asked the question, were Beşiktaş good today or were Ankaragücü bad? I thought they started the game really well. Ankaragücü did, but I think that defensively, of course, they were open. They were too open, too inviting perhaps a little bit, but I don't know if we should really... it's difficult to gauge because we've been so bad all season. Yeah, it's really true. I'm not daring to say it's 100% this or 100% that. I think it's a factor, a common denominator a little bit. The common denominator being that, I think... I don't know where I'm... that was a wrong choice of words.
No,
but it's difficult to see. I need to watch a couple more games with this kind of play style that we had today because a lot changed. The team changed up a lot. I think that we were playing good for the first time this season, really. Bar a couple of good periods in games where we did play okay, but we've been really bad lately. But I think that there was a lot of commitment. Ankaragücü were hungry and good. I think Bufuma caused a lot of problems throughout the game. El Kabir caused a lot of problems throughout the game. But our guys were really eager to stop them, not letting up easily. I think there's a couple of moments where perhaps that did happen late in the game. For example, their goal, I think, was a little bit sloppy on our part defensively, but I think when you're leading 3-0 and it's the 86th minute, you can't be too nitpicky about that at that point.
One thing I want to address, in our group chat, there was some chatter about how that goal was Karius' fault. I don't think it was. He covered his angle well. He covered his angle well, and Mustafa Al-Kabir, you got to give credit to that finish. He curled it around him quite well. You got to
finish.
Call a spade, right? I
think
fully-
I don't know if
fully
they
agree.
were being serious about that. I think they might just have been trolling us a little bit
I hope.
because I think both of us we've kind of been on like people are just blaming him for every goal he concedes, and I think we were kind of being fanboys ourselves by every time he made a good save by going good save. And then I think,
and I was doing that intentionally because of the trash talking beforehand, you know.
because even when they scored that goal that got disallowed, Emre immediately said something about Karius, and I think he was just also being a troll there. Because I don't think you can fault him at any point. I feel sorry for him because he hasn't been getting his clean sheets, and I think he deserves them because he
I know. I was really hoping.
I always feel sorry for him when he lets up that goal because most of the time it's not his fault. But this game, it's difficult to say really because I think we put it beyond them as quickly as we did with those quick succession goals. This never really was very competitive despite the fact that the stats were in balance. Mm-hmm. But that's just what will happen, I think, when you score 2 goals in 4 minutes. And really, I think we scored 3 goals in 10 minutes. But that Vida goal getting disallowed.
Exactly. And I'd like to piggyback on that. I think one point that I think can easily be overlooked. We've often talked about those positions that one tends not to focus on much in a good match, because they're doing their job like on the back line or fullback and then today in particular, I really kind of took note of the fact that in the center of our midfield, there's a lot to be said for the team being able to have confidence enough in the center of the midfield that they can kind of play that bend but not break style. I think what might lend itself to that sort of equal statistical breakdown is that in a way we played a smart, especially once we were ahead by a few goals, we played a smart kind of, blend of counterattacking football with, being clearly the better side with better players, in a very dominant position, without it becoming like, they had 70% of the ball and we were being pressed back the whole time. But, they were kind of blending that. And I think you can do that when you have confidence in the center of your midfield. And I think, of course, Dorkan's going to get a lot of the attention as far as that goes today. But I think some attention has to go to Atiba, who was a sort of silent cog today, but a very effective one. And you see him turning on the ball and making those little moves, supporting defenders, playing that kind of role, pivotal, sort of linking the defense in the midfield, where, he's definitely not a highlight for me. I'm not going to give him the man of the match or anything, but, it has to be said that, especially when we were struggling really hardcore early on, Atiba has come in and, he can't play in the Europa League matches because of that weird decision they made in terms of registration. But so in the opportunities he's been given, he's played a huge hand in stabilizing things as much as one could hope for in a season like this. So I just wanted to give a tip of the cap, generally to him.
But you know as well as I do that if this was a 1-0 game, we wouldn't have dragged it across the finish line because you're in a 2-0 and at halftime a 3-0 situation where in the second half you can actually afford to sit back a little bit and let them have the ball a little bit more. And it doesn't really matter because, they can score a relatively early goal and it can bring them back in the game, but then you still have a 2-goal deficit. So it's a difficult thing to say that we did really well in that regard, because we had a luxury we had
the score differential, certainly luxury.
Yeah.
But I just, it's so, when Atiba makes a mistake because of where he is in the pitch and the sort of role he plays, it's always blown so far out of proportion, because he is human and those mistakes are going to occur. But when he loses the ball, it's like typically like because of where he is, he's losing in a dangerous position, So when he doesn't do any of those things, I think there's someone's, you still have to take note, that's all I mean.
Well, I still think that most of their danger came from us losing the ball and them getting their quick guys down the wings, with Bafuma especially being a problem for us when, winning his one-on-one duel and then, wrecking some havoc. But the difference is that today, and we've said this multiple times this season already, that the difference being not so much that the defense was particularly solid today or not solid or whatever, But the difference is that we made the difference up front, and I said difference a million times already
we're going for
in 30 seconds, but that is really important, in
for
these
sure.
past games where we dropped those points in the final quarter of the game so many times already this season. Genk, Fenerbahce, Bursaspor, name a couple more, and there's been plenty of those this season. The difference has always been that we were sitting on a 1-goal lead. We weren't doing that today because because we scored. I wouldn't say that was intentional. I think that was just the way the match went. I think that there was plenty of hunger on the pitch to get that second, to get that third goal.
And that's going to happen when you have young guys fighting
and there
for
were
position.
and there were chances. And I think the most important thing for me, because a lot of people are pointing towards Dorokan for man of the match because he got 2 assists today, and I thought Dorokan was excellent. For me, the man of the match has to be Adam Ljajic. I think for the first time.
And this is a good segue. So your highlight for today is Ljajic. Yeah, and he earned it. He earned it.
100%. He was instrumental. And Dorokan gets 2 assists. And when you look at the scoreline, that would make you think, he was instrumental to the win. And of course, he had a big part in it. But it's Ljajic who opens the scoreline. And it's Ljajic who kills the game with that killer pass to Guven. And of course, in that got sandwiched by a really good assist by Dorokan and a good finish by Mustafa at the far post. But Ljajic today was what he needs to be. He put his mark on this game, and for the first time, despite the fact that Quaresma, in my opinion, had a good game.
Yeah, this might have been his best game in a while, honestly.
Yeah, and the most important part about him having a good game is that he wasn't the focal point of our attacks. He wasn't the man who the team was constantly feeding the ball to. He wasn't constantly getting the ball. He got the ball when he needed to get the ball, and he did some good things with it. He was dangerous. He should have had that assist on Vida. That should have counted because that was his assist. They robbed him of another a statistic there. But he had a couple of moments. There was that Trivela in the second half that caused them a lot of problems. And there were just some moments where he was good. And there were other moments where he actually passed the ball when he needed to pass the ball. And that's the role. I think Quaresma, he needs to realize, and Gunesh needs to realize, he doesn't need to be the focal point of every single attack to be important. He can be very important
especially
for the team.
Especially at 34, 35, I mean?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, but even if he was 27, he doesn't need to be the man who dictates the game, because he's first and foremost he's kind of relatively isolated out there on the wing. It's much better to have somebody in a central role, dictating the game a little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, what do you chalk this up to? Why do you suppose? I mean, I have a theory that it needs to be noted that for context, midweek, I guess for the last 2 weeks, right? Ljajic has performed quite well for his national side. He scored twice, once on a free kick, once in play, but a nice goal. He's obviously coming into this match with confidence. But I mean, do you think his teammates took note of that too?
I have 2 theories. I think there's the whole I think there was a lot of fan backlash last week for the whole free kick situation, and to me, that free kick early on in the game today, where Ljajic was actually allowed to take it, that to me could indicate that there was a stern talking during the week, and Şenol Güneş finally stepped up and did what he finally. I'm not privy to what happens in the dressing room, so I don't know. This is just me guessing, but that's option A. That there finally was something like, look, guys, okay, we're not in a good place right now. You need to give this guy his chance, and he took it. That's option A. That it was intentional, and it was steered from the coaching staff.
Right. And
I think I'm leaning toward that, because Quaresma did not come there and stick his nose in. He stepped up there for a couple, but he didn't. If Quaresma was still like last week, where he was having the final word, he would have just said, "Look, no, you go away."
Yeah, exactly.
So, and that didn't happen there. So I do think there was some steering from the coaching staff. Now, option B for me is just that he felt really good on the day, and his teammates noticed, and they just included him in. And plus, I think, you know, the fact that Dorukhan is playing in midfield, and Atiba is never going to be the guy that's going to
Give me the ball.
Part of.
Yeah.
No, I mean, he's not going to be that Oğuzhan might be like.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah,
feel some sort of competitiveness towards Leitch and be like, I'm not going to give him the ball. Fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm gonna maybe form a clique, or, you know, have this little clique with Quaresma or whatever. I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah.
You know. And I think that Dorukhan and Atiba both, they have no problems giving Leitch the ball. Mustafa definitely didn't have any problems giving it. There was nobody on the pitch today that had an issue with giving Leitch the ball and allowing him to take a central role.
Well, and that's one great aspect of playing young guys. And we trumped it up a lot in our last episode. But, you know, when you bring in these young guys who are energetic and, you know, looking to make a mark, but also humble because they've not proven themselves yet, yeah, you know, you're going to have more of a team ethos, right? I mean, it's sort of logical. So, I mean, I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah. So what's your highlight then?
You took Ljajic, and I think he's clearly for me, he's the clear choice. But so I'll just take Dorukhan by virtue of the fact that you didn't. And he was solid. And it needs to be noted, he's 22, right? So he's not like a complete youth project, right? He's established himself with Eskişehir. He's played fairly well there, you know, and you don't know how that translates, you know, to a bigger stage. But so far, so good, right? I mean, we've noted his performances from the beginning, and they've been sparse. And of course, you have to probably assume that, you know, Şenol Güneş has been forced into playing this way. You know, he probably doesn't play a 4-4-2 if Babel's not out, injured. What was Lenz's deal? He was suspended?
Injured.
Injured, also.
I think.
So, you know, without being able to have that kind of that option, without those options on the wings, he obviously had to be a little bit, you know, creative with the lineup, which of course is a good thing. And, you know, so the result was that these guys got out there and played. Yeah, I still don't know if we've been given the definitive proof that these are conscious decisions by Şenol Güneş that we can kind of bank on going forward.
That's the problem, yeah.
And that's the fear, really.
Let's see what happens next week when we think we play Galatasaray next week.
Yes, we do.
And there's
I'll give you some info on that.
There's a lot of guys injured and out right now. So will those guys be back? What's that lineup going to look like? I think both Dorukhan and Güven kind of have to start.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think you can go around it, because I think again today Güven was good, and the difference with Güven and for example Wagner Love is that I think Güven really weighs on the defense. He caused problems. He came into the ball well, passed, you know, just simple stuff, but he did well again today. And I'm not ready to jump on the oh my god, he's the next big thing bandwagon kind of
the Turkish Ronaldo. That's what I saw someone write that. I was like, oh come on.
I'm very careful with heaping praise on a young striker like that, because I definitely think he's showing signs of having potential to be something more than average.
If you've lived through Batu Ankara, then you know.
For me, it's more Gökhan Güleç.
Oh, that was a great one too, yeah.
Do you remember when he came in January together with Bobo, and he had this great 6 months where we all thought, oh my god, this kid is the real deal.
Or even Kyle Larin, right? Larin got us all excited at the end of last season.
Yeah, but Larin, that was really, that was really brief. Like Gökhan Güleç played a full second half of the season, scored I think like 11 goals or something in 17 games or something like that. And then his second season, he was just nowhere, and he just completely faded away, and then ended up in obscurity somewhere in the lower leagues. But
let's keep moving, because I know you're on a time schedule.
Well, I really don't today. I think everything was from the players was positive. There's nothing really I can say for Şenol Güneş, because we don't know what he would have done if he had everyone fit. I have a strong suspicion. But so I can't really. There's not much criticism I can put on anyone today. I think everyone played a good game, and more importantly, they really went for it. Maybe that VAR decision with our goal getting disallowed, that was terrible. That was my low light of this game, I guess. But fortunately, it didn't have any impact on the result.
Like that. But yeah, I mean, I guess if I had to find any fault at all, I would probably... I mean, I think Fatih Aksoy, I don't know if this is a correction. I think you may have said that Necip played on the right side. I think Necip stayed in the middle, and it was Fatih Aksoy who played on the right side.
No, yeah, you might be right.
And, you know, he actually showed some promise. He made some, you know, some interceptions where he ran forward and then connected the ball. He did some things well. But all in all, you know, when we're talking about all this promising youth that was out on display today, I have to say that, you know, Fatih Aksoy gave me the impression that he might not quite be ready for this level. But he also flashed some things that made me think he could.
I think he's ready for the level, but not at the. I don't think he's a Beşiktaş player.
Yeah, that's
but
what I
think
mean.
He could,
the level of Beşiktaş. You know, maybe the Turkish.
If you look at if you look at like Alihan from Ankaragücü today, I think he can be something like that.
Yeah,
you know, but not.
And I mean, honestly, he showed these elements. Like, I honestly wonder if he might find himself by becoming like a defensive midfielder. You know, like I noticed some moments where he was showing his sort of physicality very positively and like advancing the ball well. And he, you know, whatever. I don't want to harp on it because he really wasn't bad. I just wanted to sort of make note of that fact. I didn't think he was quite up to snuff, you know, as far as what we need from a Beşiktaş player in the back line, most of all. So, you know, 2 for 3 ain't bad if you consider Dorukhan and Güven Yalçın. But I'd also still like to see Alpay when he comes back. You know, I wonder. He was showing flashes.
For sure. He's the bigger talent when we look at defenders. Mm-hmm. If you look at Alpay, but of course Alpay is like what 19, and then and Fatih is like 22 or something already as well.
I think, 20 or 21. But either way, he's on his way towards needing to be loaned out, and you know. It's going to be do or die for him, I think, next season, wherever he has to prove himself. But, you know.
Yeah, unless the club decides to really, keep him around
invest
because of
in
the UEFA list or something. But if I was him, I'd go out and look for... Because I think he does have the potential to be a Super League mainstay type of... like a Uğur Demirok, Ayhan, Yalçın Ayhan. I mean, do you remember Yalçın Ayhan back when he was 25, 26? He was shit. I mean, but now, you know, as he's come into his... as he's matured, as he's come into his 30s, he's been consistently one of the better central defenders in Turkey for the past 6-7 years.
I know a kid who's like, you know, being trained, you know, who wants to think they have the whole world ahead of them, doesn't want to hear this, but... You know, I always wonder, like, there's got to be some value in developing talent, not to become your you know, the generational captain for your team, but, you know, developing like a third or fourth option at the center back, because you're always going to need those guys at some point in the season, right? Like, you know, he showed enough for me. Like, I don't see him being much worse than like Necip maybe, you know, someday.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I think Necip is a great example of a player that, you know, if he wasn't counted as a youth product and as a Turk, he probably wouldn't be playing for Beşiktaş anymore. You know, but at the same time, Necip is a useful player at times, can be really useful, and warrants a contract, I think, because of that. He doesn't warrant a big contract, but he warrants being on the squad roster, because people often say, like, oh, what's this guy doing on the squad and all that. But I think, you know, when you look at Mustafa Bektimek the last couple of weeks, it's not that he doesn't warrant a spot when he's fit, and like he's been lately, spared from injuries, knock on wood. Right. He's a useful enough player. The problem with Mustafa is that he's under a huge contract, which is ridiculous. He should probably, if Mustafa was earning 700,000 a year, maybe 900, people wouldn't mind him.
Yeah.
The problem is that he's on 1.7 million, and that's ridiculous.
Well, and I think older fans like us remember all the fanfare and hype that he came in with, and he'll never match those expectations, you know. And so if you can bring yourself past those and just look at him for what he is, yeah, like he's a great kind of third or fourth striker, right? And there, again, just like with Fatih Aksoy, there's value in those things. But yeah, the problem with Pekdemir, yeah, clearly he's got the salary of someone who'd have a much larger role with the team.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's it.
I think that's it. Yeah. Do we have anything else to talk about regarding this game?
No, we don't. But I do want to say a little bit about what's upcoming because we're back. You know, the season is back in full swing from that little break we just came off of. We're playing Sarpsborg on Thursday, the 29th, this coming Thursday. We are going to be
terrible timing. Yeah, we're playing away. We're playing in Sarpsborg.
Oh, really? I thought this was a home match.
No, we beat them at home 3-1.
Oh gosh, that's right. So this is actually, it's not. Of course, Sarpsborg is on paper, in theory, the weakest team in the group, but they're going to be playing at home. They've got a fan base there. This is do or die for Beşiktaş. I'd say. You said that Beşiktaş could get through on 4 points, and of course, statistically, that is not impossible. But I'm going to go ahead and say that I think we need all 6 from these last 2 matches. So tune in for that. That's going to be huge. And then, of course, on Sunday. Oh, I guess I should mention the time for the Sarpsborg match. The time here is 3 p.m., so that's 10 p.m. in Istanbul?
Yeah, 9.
And 9 for you
the late
in
game.
Belgium.
The late game. Yep.
Wow. So for our Turkish listeners, drink some coffee. And you too, Kaan, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I tend to go to sleep really early since my kids start going to school and yeah.
So good luck staying up. But I'll, of course, be in touch with you. But so we may, for you listeners, that means we may get an episode the following day because, I don't know. It might not be fair to Kaan to keep him up or maybe I'll solo it and we'll just do a short one since we're going to have shortly thereafter on Sunday the big match. Now, this is the one we're all waiting for. For this one, Beşiktaş is home against Galatasaray. Yeah, you're right. We're away for Sarpsborg. That, on Sunday, the 2nd of December, is at noon for me, so that's 7 p.m. in Istanbul. That sounds right. 6 p.m. for you, Kaan. That is going to be the do or die. Basically, a win against Galatasaray changes the whole story. We're back in it. We're now level. We would be level on points with Galatasaray. Currently, we're in 5th place. I guess we should maybe talk about the standings as a prep for this match. Let me pull them up here. Currently, Beşiktaş is in 5th place. I don't think that can be changed. Göztepe could be level on points with us, but they would need to win by like 7 goals to be level on goal differential. So Beşiktaş is going to end this week in 5th place. Beşiktaş is 3 points behind Galatasaray right now. Galatasaray is in 2nd place. Kasımpaşa and Yeni Malatya both will be playing tomorrow. Tomorrow meaning Sunday. Sunday the 25th. But so Kasımpaşa and Yeni Malatya Kasımpaşa could leapfrog Galatasaray into 2nd. But so anyway, all of this is to say that a victory against Galatasaray next week could put Beşiktaş as high up as 2nd place. That depends on tomorrow's results.
Other results.
Maybe 3rd place if Kasımpaşa passes Galatasaray. Maybe even 4th if Malatyaspor passes Galatasaray. Yeni Malatyaspor. Sorry. But so it's like this victory was vital because Galatasaray has dropped points this week. They drew against Konyaspor on a late equalizer, a penalty for Konya. So
yeah,
it's all
kind of
there.
a disgraceful call, really.
Yeah, VAR is having a rough week, if we're going to be honest with ourselves. But this is
they didn't intervene there. I think that was a problem. That they didn't.
I think they looked at it. They looked at it on VAR, didn't they?
Did they? I don't know. I don't think the ref went to look. That's the problem, I think.
I thought they did, and I think it was when they were calling for VAR was when Serdar Aziz pegged the ref and got red carded, which is so. Thank you, Serdar, because that means we don't have to play him next week. As well as a number of guys were banned against Fener.
Yeah, and Badu Ndiaye is still suspended. So now Serdar Aziz is suspended. Gary Rodriguez serving his last game suspension, I think. And then who else got suspended? Because there's a couple of guys.
Maicon? I think Maicon?
No, I don't think it was Maicon. Who was the other one? There's 2 guys that got 5 games, and then Gary got 3. Ryan Donk. So Donk...
Oh, wait, what about Belhanda?
He didn't get anything.
Oh man, that's weird. He's
that was really weird. That was really weird because Soldado got 8 games. I think. Did he get 8 or did he get 5 or 6? I think he got 6 games, and Jalson from Fenerbahce got 8 games. That's what it was.
Mostly for running.
The fact that Soldado got 6 games and Belhanda didn't get called up to the disciplinary board was really weird. Because Belhanda did just as much, if not more. So he should have definitely gotten suspended. But that didn't happen. But anyway, Galatasaray will be without Donk, who, has been important, has been good for them this season. I'm not going to call him...
He was like their Pepe, right? He was their last option for goals.
He did score that one goal where he was moved up top against... was it I think Antalya? No.
Didn't he score against Porto?
I think it was Antalyaspor that he scored that late winner against at home. But yeah, Gary Rodriguez has been key for them. Serdar Aziz is a key player for them for sure. Then Badu Ndiaye is important because of the injury that what's his name again? Emre Agbaba has. So they have some issues in the center of their midfield, and then they have a bunch of injuries, and I'm not sure how those are doing. I'm not sure if Fernando is back from injury yet. They had a couple more Yuto Nagatomo has been injured for a while already. They have a bunch of problems. They have some real issues in terms of injuries, in terms of suspensions. So I'm not sure how their injured players are looking, but if we look at that, if we look at it from that perspective, Beşiktaş should be the favorites to win this game. But of course, it's a derby, and just the way that we've played one good game now, so that's definitely not a guarantee for a win. So I think it's going to be very difficult, and it's kind of got a draw written all over it, if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree. I think the betting man would probably bet on a draw. Almost any derby you'd want to, that'd probably be the safe bet. But yeah, I mean, clearly it's a must-win for both sides, as always, as any derby would be. Particularly for Beşiktaş, a loss would be catastrophic. I'd say. I
think for both teams, I think losing will put either one of them in a crisis situation. I think Beşiktaş more than Galatasaray, but Galatasaray can't afford to lose either because that would basically, depending on what Başakşehir do, of course, tomorrow Monday. I think did they play tomorrow Monday? I think. Depending on what Başakşehir does the next 2 games, I mean, if they take 6 points from their next 2 games, and Galatasaray lost points this weekend, and if they lose next weekend, then they're basically in their home stretch to the title.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Now, my last comments before we close things up, because I know Kaan has things to do. I wanted to, our newest feature is, of course, Relegation Watch. On the bottom is Rizespor with 8 points. Kayseri and Akhisar both have 12 to round out the 3 sides in relegation. Fener and Bursa, gosh, how beautiful is that? 13 points. So Bursa and Fenerbahce are both 1 point out of the relegation zone. Akhisar could pass either one of them tomorrow. So Bursa, Fener, and Akhisar, none of them have played yet this week. Sadly, Kayseri has already lost, so they're not going to have a chance to upend either of those guys. But my lord, how fantastic would it be to see Fenerbahce and Bursaspor in the relegation zone come the end of the season? Gosh,
you know what?
Just dream about it, because it's not going to even be on the table next week, probably.
But the way we've been playing, no, I'm not counting this game, but the last couple of weeks before this game, honestly, I went into this game feeling like if we keep going the way we're going, we're going to end up the season below. On
that note, that's our note. I hear our mascot.
That's our cue.
Calling. Send us out, Kaan.
Yeah, that's it for this week. All the information you need, social media-wise, Twitter handles, Facebook, whatever, you can find it in the description as always. It's great to get back to our winning ways, and hopefully we can finally start winning some consecutive games. Now on to Sarpsborg and Galatasaray, and hopefully 2 good results in those matches. That's it for me, Kaan Bayazit, and Sinan, take us out, man.
I'm putting my hands up in the arrow way that Juven Yalçın did when he scored. Reminiscence like that dude from there. The arrow seems like he's a big Spanish guy with a big flash.
Oh, Guiza.
Guisa, I'm doing my Guisa. Go Beşiktaş, come on, fellas, we got this. We got this. We're back. We were so down. We were so down like a week ago. And now it's like,
Champion, right?
right, that's right.
Champion ne demek?
Oh, dude, I can't wait to see what happens this week. This is our whole season. This week is like the whole. This is it. We're gonna know where we stand in Europe and in the league by the end of this week.
Anyway, man, I'm gonna...
Beşiktaş International hopes you enjoyed this program.